You're listening to the Night Demon Network. Go to nightdemon.net/subscriber to unlock more exclusive content.
Hello and welcome to the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast. I'm your host Nesbit, and Curse of the Damned at 10, the 10-year anniversary of Night Demon's first studio album. And today we're digging into Night Demon's, one of their signature songs, 2.5 minutes of pure Night Demon old school metal. This is Full Speed Ahead.
Full Speed Ahead. Looking back on this one, I can say that, this is definitely one of the fan favorites and critical favorites from the album. Short and sweet.
Full Speed Ahead is a classic Night Demon song. It's always a good one to play live. Keeps the energy up, and it's really short too, so it's really easy to stick into the set list. I don't feel like it gets included when we do opening sets, but in headlining sets and longer sets, it usually gets thrown in.
Full Speed Ahead. Yeah, this is a good one. One of my favorites. It's short, concise. It's got catchy riffs. It's got a good harmony part. It's just got everything that you need in a nice, tight, short package. It's like this is one of those great military kind of war songs that every great band has. It's kind of like the Aces High or the Bomber of Night Demon, compared to Maiden and Motorhead. Kind of a mix. This band has always kind of been like, I'd say, part Maiden, part Motorhead, in a cool blend of the two.
If you had to pick one song that you were going to play to someone to go, hey, this is give or take what Night Demon sound like, I think Full Speed Ahead is a good contender for that. Don't hate me, lads, but I think it's just like, it's a really great heavy metal song, very accessible song, and it just gets straight to the point, and it has just like great hooks in there, and it's beautifully put together, and it's fun as hell.
Full Speed Ahead is a classic track. I think it was always a part of the set. It's very straightforward, straight ahead. Great song. I think the songwriting is put together very well. It's a fan favorite. You can kind of sing along with it. All the Night Demon elements are there. Very cut and dry. Great for any Night Demon fan to soak that song up. I think I can remember playing it almost every single live show. I've probably played that song, 600 times.
Listening back, though, I do think subliminally, which happens a lot, especially as a songwriter and early in your career, I can tell what influenced this song. The Angel Witch song, Sweet Danger. God, like I listened back to it and I'm like, man, that's almost like that kind of that same riff, opening riff. You know, once you do something on your own, it's and you add your own natural flavor to it, just sounding how an individual sounds. You know, it does sound like Night Demon. But I want to give Angel Witch credit for that because again, looking back subliminally, I think that, you know, it's such a good riff that was in my head just by loving that band for a long time. I could definitely see that influence there. I mean, the vibe of the song is, the title kind of says it all, even though the title has nothing to do with the music. It is Full Speed Ahead. And the vibe, it's kind of for me like a song that would be a new wave of British heavy metal song. And then the choruses kind of remind me of something that would be maybe off Maiden's like Somewhere in Time. We don't have the guitar synth sound, but we do have those harmonies, or it's almost like an Aces High thing. Actually, if you think about it, you know, like from Power Slave era right before it, it's kind of a mix between all of that. As far as writing it, I can't really say to who wrote what, really. I know Brent wrote the verse riff. I believe I came up with the intro, or Angel Witch came up with the intro, however you want to look at it. It's funny because I was talking to Will from Angel Witch on the phone yesterday, and now I'm recording this, and I'm going, man, I better tell them that. I mean, they've played with us enough where we've played that song live. I wonder if they ever kind of thought to themselves, man, these guys must have really listened to us. But so, yeah, Brent wrote the verse riff. I did the intro. I believe I came up with the choruses and the chorus harmonies. Armand gets some credit for some things on that guitar solo for sure. But yeah, and obviously I was the chief lyricist or sole lyricist at that point in the band. So on this bedroom demo, again, this is me and Brent in his bedroom at his house, playing through these small Marshall solid state combos. I was using the flat wound strings at the time on my bass, so it was like very Steve Harris sounding, but with a pick, right? So immediately here, these are like the riffs that we're just kind of coming up with. You're hearing Angel Witch vibes, and you're hearing Motorhead vibes, specifically on the verses. Kind of like an Ace of Spades kind of thing, or just your, typical Motorhead. You think of whatever you think of Motorhead, like that's the kind of riffage going on there, right? I wasn't being as melodic on the bass yet, and I was kind of just riding the E on those verses. I'm glad that did change. So this instrumental demo was recorded in the fucking Wrath band room at Rick Hunter's. Myself, Brent, and John. In the same style that, a lot of these demos were recorded just a stereo mic in a room and just kind of going for it. So obviously there's no guitar harmonies here. The drumming is really cool. It's definitely this old school punk style that John C's putting down. And just has a really raw feel to it. I really enjoy this demo. I did not have lyrics for this at the time, but I do think we did have the title, Full Speed Ahead. So I'm asked, why a song about World War II? The answer is simple, and it's one word: Lemmy. So back in 2007, I had done guest vocals on a friend's album, a hardcore band actually, called The Warriors. They put out an album called Genuine Sense of Outrage. They had some guests on this record. I knew that like Lou Kohler, the singer of Sick of It All, was going to be on this record. I think maybe Zoli from Ignite. Can't remember if Davey from AFI was doing this one or if he did the next one. But they needed some singing vocals. I guess I was the only guy that they knew that kind of did clean singing. So this is long before Night Demon even existed. I remember I was working for a audio repair company, and I was doing deliveries in this van all through the greater Los Angeles area. And I got called in to go into a studio in Orange County, like Santa Ana area, California. And I said, okay, well, I've got a route that day. It was like a Monday, I think. And yeah, I'll be swinging through there. So I kind of just did a detour, didn't really tell my bosses about it, and just showed up at this studio. The studio I had been to before, it was owned by Cameron Webb, who's done a lot of records, Social Distortion, and he was doing all the later Motorhead records. I think he did like the last 3 or 4. And so I came in to do this vocal. I had not heard the song before. They kind of told me, where they wanted these parts and what the lyrics were. The song was called Nothing Lasts. I was just kind of trying to do like more of like a John Bush kind of Armored Saint kind of thing. And so I laid down the tracks and I'm like, who else is singing on this record? And it was like, oh, well, Lemmy was here last night. And I was like, you got to be fucking kidding me. So yeah, it's true. Lemmy sang on another song on this album called The Price of Punishment. And they were telling me the story. They were in the studio late at night, and they're like, hey, you know what? Cameron had an idea. Lemmy would sound good on this song. So the story goes, they drive to the Roxy, or to the Rainbow in West Hollywood, which is probably, even with no traffic, that's probably a good 40-minute drive from where this studio is at minimum. And they go to the Rainbow. I guess he had called over there, and Lemmy's like, yeah, I'll come sing on this song tonight, right? And they pick him up and take him back to Santa Ana. He did same treatment I got, and he just lays it down. At the end of the song, you could hear him say, fuck you, which is kind of cool. And I guess, I asked what they had to pay him for something like that. And all he wanted was for them to buy him a Jack and Coke at the Rainbow. That's just fucking amazing, right? What a cool fucking dude. So years later, when writing the songs for Curse of the Damned, I thought of Lemmy, and I thought, at this point in the band, we're kind of like still heavily wearing our influences on our sleeves, and we're trying to figure out like, if we're an old school type band, like let's use all the formulas that we can of the songs that we love. So, we don't have a kind of Motorheady kind of song, mixed with all these other influences. So let's kind of try something like that, a riff like that, or a drum beat like that. And so I immediately thought of Lemmy. So I got in touch with Roger, who has always been in contact with Cameron. And I said, hey man, can we get Lemmy on this if I wrote a song, could we get Lemmy on it? And he's like, yeah, I guess I don't see why not. I'll hit up Cameron. And so Cameron was into the idea. And, I thought we would go down there and record it. So, here we go. I go to work and I say, well, if we're going to have Lemmy on it, let's make it a song that he can identify with, So I started doing a lot of research about D-Day, World War II, the troops storming the beaches of Normandy. And it was a brutal battle, and I learned so much about it. And I said, okay, full speed ahead. The title still works too. Full speed ahead, coming out of those boats, paratrooping from the air, invading, the Allied forces coming together to invade France to defeat the Nazis and make some kind of breakthrough in this war and get behind enemy lines and start going to work, right? And so that was the whole idea. And I said, look, I'm fine singing the whole song and having a version of that. And then, we could just send the tracks to Cameron and Lemmy can kind of fill in the blanks and sing the parts that he wants to, and we'll just take mine out. And I thought it would be really cool if we could both sing the chorus together, So that was the idea. But, Lemmy at this point had started to get ill, and it was just, I guess the timing wasn't right, and we could never lock him down, and he died shortly after. Really fucking sucks, man. But this, so I'm glad that the fans know this now, that, this song was written for Lemmy to sing on. And that was the intention. And so that's why it has the feel that it does. Going through the lyrics, the D-Day inspired lyrics. Rise and shine, feel the chill down my spine. The ship approaches the land. Load my gun, time for some fun. The mission is clear, it's time to win this war.
Rise and shine, feel the chill down my spine. The ship approaches the land. Load my gun, time for some fun. The mission is clear, it's time to win this war.
So that kind of sounds a little Jarheady, right? Like, load my gun, time for some fun, right? It's kind of a bit bro-ish. But I was coming from the perspective of these soldiers that had stormed the beach, especially the U.S. soldiers. The story goes that back then they gave these soldiers, like the night before this battle, like a real heavy meal, sausages and shit like this, a ton of alcohol, cigarettes, all this stuff. One last supper before this fucking horrible, horrible battle. I mean, if you look into this to this day, I mean, the amount of casualties is staggering. And so these guys go out early in the morning. They're puking from their nerves. They're puking from all the shit that they put in their body the night before. And these boats are just rushing straight into 50 caliber gunfire. And these guys are just dying before the boat even opens. They're getting picked off left and right. They're jumping into the water. If they do get out, there's bullets flying through the water. They're weighed down by a shit ton of gear that you cannot swim in. It's just it's like target practice for the Nazis. And I believe they only had, 3 to 5 guns on that hill only, but they were hidden in these bunkers and protected and fortified, and they were just picking people off. So this is from the point of view of the soldier going in with all of this adrenaline. You have to turn off your brain. They call this generation the greatest generation, the generation that went to World War II. Essentially, in the U.S., the entire country just dedicated themselves to the war effort. I mean, you had women going to work to make bombs, housewives that didn't normally work in that era, and you had professional athletes going to be a soldier, guys that were rich, that were in the prime of their careers. A lot of this stuff. So And then everybody came back from the war and didn't really talk about it. You know, they kind of went on with their lives and rebuilt everything. And we had the fabulous 50s, you know, all of that until the Vietnam War. And then now we have, you know, this isn't a history lesson, right? I'm not trying to do this. I'm just trying to explain, you know, my way of thinking here from this soldier's point of view is like, hey, all of this, whatever is going on, it's like I have to do this right now or the world falls to peril and I'm going to die, you know, and there's a good chance that I will die. So I have to focus on staying alive and accomplishing this mission, no matter how much bloodshed there's going to be. It's going to be them or me, basically. And I hope I make it. It's pretty freaky. So we get into the chorus. Full speed ahead, fight to the death. Full speed ahead, take our last breath, fight to the death.
Full speed ahead, fight to the death. Full speed ahead, take our last breath, fight to the death. And go full speed ahead.
Verse 2. So this is coming out of the boat. Verse 2. Overboard, we swim for the shore. Machine gun fire everywhere. Picking us off one by one. 10,000 bodies piled on the beach.
Overboard, we swim for the shore. Machine gun fire everywhere. Picking us off one by one. 10,000 bodies piled on the beach.
Then the second half of the verse, the double bass part. As I look to the sky. I see the body parts raining down. We're going to die if we choose not to fight. We're not giving up. Only one way to go.
As I look to the sky, see the body parts raining down. We're gonna die if we choose not to fight. Not giving up, only one way to go.
Then the chorus again.
Full speed ahead, fight to the death. Full speed ahead, take our last breath, fight to the death. Full speed ahead, we're going to fight to the death. Full speed ahead, we're full speed ahead. We'll fight to the death. Fight to the death.
And that's kind of just repeats the chorus throughout the song. There's a key change, which we thought was so cool and sophisticated at the time. But it's awesome. It worked out. You know, we didn't know what we were doing. We just we went to where it felt right, and it worked out in the end.
Key change. Yeah. One of the few times, I guess the only time on this record where any of the songs do that. So key change is when, you know, the song, you know, it can go both ways. It can go lower, and so to create more of a depressive sound, or it can bring it up, you know, higher to give it a little bit of a brighter sound and take you to another level, you know, where this song, what it does is it brings you up there, you know, it goes up a whole key, you know, it goes from E to F sharp, I think, or E flat to F, maybe. Would that be? I don't know. Don't ask me. I'm not a theory guy. I just know what to play and where to play it. And even that's debatable. But anyway, yeah. So it goes up there for that last chorus. You know, just kind of like a little tag. It's not like a full-on chorus, you know. So get the first half in the normal key, then you jump up for a couple extra measures of that, and then gives you a little like a couple of like hang chords, boom, boom, and then it takes you back into the original key of the song. cool songwriting, really good, clever way to, just get some new life out of, maybe a riff that repeats itself a lot. Is it, it's the riff doesn't change, just the key changes. So it's kind of a way to give something a different kind of life and sound without having to rewrite and come up with a whole new part, So yeah, intro guitar, just a good, hammer on, 2-note, picked, and one of those kind of roundabout riffs with a couple of cool chords in between. Song basically in E flat. Yeah, cool guitar harmonies. I remember when we were recording this for the initial sessions, the Run For Your Life album, working out those harmonies in the chorus. Really cool. Very Maiden-esque in my mind. They just really, create a cool, vibe in the chorus of, I don't know, I just see, I can just picture, planes soaring over, I always picture, the gunner is in that part, I don't know why, but that's just what, comes to mind when I hear that part. And so yeah, it's a 2-parter on the album here. Might have been a 3-parter on the original version. Yeah, the harmonies are definitely a bit simplified on the Curse of the Damned version. So yeah, it's cool. It's another catchy part. The song is just full of kind of catchy riffs, and that's a good thing. I enjoy that.
The bass was pretty straightforward on this song. I did spend a lot of time with writing the guitar parts, and maybe that took me out of the bass player mind of doing something different on the bass. But it really didn't need it, it needed the backing for sure. And when you listen to the studio album versus the Run For Your Life sessions and stuff like that, having no rhythm guitar behind it, it's tough to do it without. So it kind of needs it there. So that was one thing that, we felt good about beefing up a little bit. And, think about this song live, right? There's no rhythm guitar, and, Armand has to do these, he figured out harmonized chords that he does to kind of create the guitar harmony. So it's a totally different flavor live completely. When the song was first played live, again, this one was happening during the the shows that we were doing up until recording the album. The guitar and bass harmonies that we play live are also on the studio version, and it's just basically going at the tail end of the choruses. That's kind of like the Night Demon signature guitar bass harmony thing. You just kind of throw it in where it fits in as a fill, so you don't lose the backing.
So bass guitar harmonies. Yeah, again, this is that's that signature Night Demon thing, where Jarvis goes up to the high harmony and I play the lower one on the guitar. Yeah, it's become something that people have noticed over the years and always wondered how we did that live without having a second guitar player. So that's the secret of that one.
We swim through the show, machine gun fire everywhere.
So yeah, this is one of those songs that I kind of took some liberties and, felt that, it could use a little bit of flair, a little extra, just some things that like I would have done if I would have recorded the part or wrote the parts or were there during the writing, the initial writing of the song. I don't know if some of these things were like a conscious thing where we talked about it, as an idea, or just something I kind of did and, the guys liked it and I thought it gave the song a little bit more of a movement, So the main thing is in the intro, so I started with the main riff, then we jump into it. Then instead of just repeating that same, thing, I just take, I build it up. I climb it, a couple of times before that break into the verse just to kind of build some tension. And I think it works pretty good. If it was on the record, it probably would have been, it's basically a harmony of what Jarvis is playing because he's playing the same riff too. So it's just me taking it up a notch and giving it a little bit of a extra spice before we drop into the verse. And that's the only time I do that in the song. So, and it's become a staple. I mean, I've played it like that ever since, it's like that cool thing, you get the live version of songs and you have the album versions, That's the beauty of seeing a live band, but that's also the detriment of technology these days where a lot of bands rely on things like click tracks and, backing tracks. You can't really stray when you're doing that kind of stuff. So, it's like you go see the band live and it sounds like you just turn the album on, full blast and just watch some people miming to it, Whereas with stuff like this, what I'm doing with with a song like this is I'm giving it just something a little different. And the true fans will notice that. And I hope that they take something away from that and appreciate that. Because I know I do. Whenever I see bands and especially ones that I really know the material, when I hear little things like that, it just kind of like gets me excited, It's cool. And, there's also another thing I do with the guitar. When I first started playing the song, I would just play the single guitar line in the chorus. Obviously we don't have another guitar player to do the harmonies. So, and then at some point it was brought up, I think Jarvis might have brought this up, and I think I was also toying with the idea of how to make it sound a little more full. So I'm kind of doing a thing that we call it the Schenker trick, the Michael Schenker style way of doing things, like on Dr. Doctor live. Again, same kind of thing. There's harmonies, guitar harmonies there, but he actually plays the two notes together kind of like a chord. So yeah, it just kind of fills that out. That's a cool way of doing things, and yeah, that's a little thing we picked up from him, so thanks for that one, Mr. Schenker. And it's funny because I think, he obviously has played with other guitar players, but he still plays it that way instead of doing the full-on harmony. So it's cool. It's just, again, it's like one of those things that just has become the staple of that song now, So, yeah, it's a cool way to pull that off live. And yeah, doing the backing vocals on that, the full speed aheads. I do the higher part that Jarvis did on the record. It's a nice touch to, give it that kind of sing-along hook part, really driving that home with the harmony.
There is one thing that I added to this song and when we play it live, and that's in these last chorus, the second half, when the key changes, I add double bass. I think Jarvis might have suggested that when I was first practicing with the band, but that's become a thing that we do every time we play it now.
Another one that keeps me working hard on the lighting board, there's a fun moment in the song where so I'm doing some strobing, and it's when as I look to the sky, that bit, there's the double kick there, so I've got some like strobe lights going, and then the two big beats at the end where it kind of pauses. So the shows, which is most of them now, where we've got two like smoke geysers on the stage, I give those like a really short, sharp blast on those two big beats, because it's, they're talking about like bombs dropping and shots being fired and shit flying everywhere. So like to suddenly have these two big like short, sharp bursts of smoke, it just looks really fucking cool. It's a fun part of the set for me.
In the set list, you know what? Lately, this one has been coming kind of later in the set. I always kind of thought it worked better near the front end, but it's actually kind of a great opener, and we have opened with it before in the past. On the some of the shows that we did the first time around touring the Curse of the Damned album, we were opening with it, and I kind of had this idea that I wanted, like the guitar comes in and like there's a light that lights up the guitarist, and then the bass comes in and lights me up, and then it kind of goes bam, 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 like lights everything up. So we never successfully pulled that off live, but I think we can probably make it happen now on this tour. All in all, I'm going to say that Full Speed Ahead is another Night Demon classic, and in my mind, it's always Lemmy's song, One cool thing on the box set is we do have some digital tracks available that are free to download for anybody who gets the box set. And we do have a recording of, there was a Lemmy tribute show that happened at the Ventura Theater right after he died, and we played a couple Motorhead songs. We did Overkill, and that it does sound a bit rough, but it was a really good vibe. It was a really good vibe at that show, and I'm glad that we got a recording of it. I think it's a Don Price recording, actually. But, playing Overkill was something that we had always kind of worked into the set, usually before Dawn Rider, because it has that same kind of double bass thing. But we kind of took it a step further and decided, hey, we should probably play another song too. And I remember how fun it was just being in the rehearsal room and rehearsing Damage Case. And I think that song came out really fucking well. So I like the recording of that. And you get to hear me talk like Lemmy for a little bit. But yeah, again, another rest in peace Lemmy. It's another thing that, if he was on this, I think, again, we would be having a totally different conversation right now. I think at the time, it would have benefited us a hell of a lot to have a name like Lemmy on this record. I mean, the record did get more attention than we thought it would, and it did very well. But this would have been something that would have thrown it over the top. And, not to mention, as part of our legacy, to have Lemmy on it. But it is what it is. Everything works out for the right reasons, and that is Full Speed Ahead.
This one in the early days was definitely like in the top 4 or 5 songs of the set. It was pretty early on. It kind of gets the energy going. And so nowadays, it can kind of be anywhere, really. I think this song works really well anywhere in the set because it's a really cool, it's got a really cool energy. Like I said, it just really kind of ramps you up, It's like that thing. It's like, I don't know. It just has a cool energy that brings it, livens the setup a bit. So it's a good one for that.
But it's a pretty easy one to play, and it's a good fast song. Keeps the energy up, and I like Full Speed Ahead a lot. I just always feel like it's over so quickly. Like when we start playing it, it's over before you know it. It really does go by really, really quick.
It just drives the whole time. I think it captures the essence of Night Demon.
Full Speed Ahead, probably the shortest song in the catalog, I would say. But one of my top 5 for sure. It's just got all the right parts, I think, and it gets them in and out quickly and with, you don't really feel like you need anything else. It's one of those songs that you might want to listen to again, because it goes by so kind of quick. Play that one again, do it again, man. Let's hear it again. So, yeah, it's a good one for that.
Well, that's it for this week and Full Speed Ahead, a song written for Lemmy. Always a highlight live. I just saw them a few weeks ago playing this, and the energy of the crowd when they played Full Speed Ahead was crazy high. It's a real highlight of the show, and a highlight of the Curse of the Damned album. So 10 years of that album. CurseDamned.com for info on that and the box set. NightDemon.net for info on all things Night Demon, including Curse at 10 tour dates. And check out the subscriber section. This week we have live versions of Full Speed Ahead from 2022 right up to, there's one there from last week. There's an instrumental version, the album version, a remastered version, a remixed version, the Live Darkness version, the Run for Your Life version, plus the full demos for this song. Check out nightdemon.net to find out how you can become a subscriber and get access to all of that. Until next week, this is Nesbitt signing off.
As I look up to the sky and see the body parts raining down, we're gonna die if we choose not to fight, not giving up, only one way to go. Full speed ahead, we fight to the death. Full speed ahead, take all our breath, fight to the death.
Thanks for listening to the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast. Head over to nightdemon.net, click on the subscriber tab, and sign up to access exclusive weekly bonus content. If you would like to donate to support the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast, you can do so through PayPal at paypal.me/nightdemonmetal. Additionally, if you have not already done so, please subscribe, like, rate, and review the show on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts.
All hail, Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast listeners. This is Dusty Squires chiming in to tell you about my brand new signature sticks from the London Drumstick Company. I've dreamt of having my very own drumsticks ever since I was a wee lad, and LDC made that a possibility for me. Founded in 2016 in London, England, the birthplace of heavy metal, the London Drumstick Company has trailblazed a path through the music industry and taken the drummer world by storm. When I met them for the first time, they knew their product was going to withstand the beatings of a Night Demon show. They took the time to work with me on getting everything just right. The balance and weight of my sticks are the same no matter what, and the durability is bar none the best I've ever had. I know my sticks will last through the set night after night. I'm truly honored to work with a company that caters to their players the way LDC does. Their innovation and attention to detail is what separates them from the rest of the stick makers out there. Their custom stick sleeves are unbelievable and really make the entire presentation complete. Wait until you see the design they came up with for me. It blew my mind and was a surprise to say the least. They have all kinds of amazing swag, including hoodies, t-shirts, drummer shorts, drum keys, stick bags, towels, face masks, practice pads, and much, much more. Even if you're not a drummer, you can be a part of Demon history and order my brand new signature sticks direct from their website. How cool is that? And to top it off, the London Drumstick Company are giving an exclusive offer to the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast listeners. Go to londondrumsticks.co.uk and receive a 15% store-wide discount using promo code DEMONSTICKS. All capital letters, no spaces, Demon Sticks. DEMONSTICKS. I can't thank everyone there enough for the opportunity to be a part of their family and for them trusting me with their amazing products. See you metal maniacs on the road very soon. And yes, the wood chips will be flying.
Greetings, boils and ghouls. This is your comrade, the Crypt Keeper here, reporting dead from the sanctuary of the strange. Tonight's macabre myth is a fright-filled feature, one overflowing with monsters, madness, and magic.
Visit our website at monstersmadnessandmagic.com to stay up to date on all the dark dealings within the sanctuary of the strange. Enjoy the show.
Hey Metalheads, I'm Mark and I host the Metal Forge. Let me tell you about the show. The Metal Forge features the best underground metal from all over the world. We spend every week with a different artist with interviews, in-depth conversations, and most of all, the music. We also feature audience interactivity where you can submit your questions to the upcoming guests. New episodes are out every Friday at noon Eastern Time at metalforgeradio.com or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Want to know what's going on in the world of music? Then tune in to the Nothing Shocking Podcast, a non-genre based, all ages friendly rock and roll program. Join us weekly for interviews with all your favorite rock stars from the mainstream to the underground. You can find us at nothingshocking.libsyn.com or anywhere you download podcasts.
Okay, metalheads, you've been complaining that there has not been a channel that plays all of the heavy metal videos from past, present, and future for years and years at this point. Well, that time is over. Heavy Metal Television is back. HeavyMetalTelevision.net is the website. Go there. You can see videos playing 24/7, 365, all the time, all the best from the old school, the new school, and everything in between. Check it out, HeavyMetalTelevision.net. It is where the metal is.